Alright, so B1 to my FBA family. So I decided to dip through these YouTube screeds once again, just so I can give you a little bit more coverage on what I was talking about yesterday. And really what I want to address is the fake outrage. This fake ass outrage over Brother Polite. Now don't get it twisted. I'm not caping for that fuck shit that he did at all. All I'm saying is there's a lot of fake outrage in regards to, you know, the conviction or the plea of the guilty plea that was entered by Brother Polite. Now everybody's making these videos and they're all mad and they're all talking this shit. Let's just really break this shit down for what it really is. Because by the end of this video, I'm going to give you the opportunity to really prove if you really give a fuck about the fact that there's young women, or excuse me, children and women being violated by some of these predators online. If you really give a fuck, I'm gonna give you an opportunity to prove that shit. Because for the most part, and I ain't speaking about everybody, but for the most part, there's a lot of Negroes that's online that really just was hating Polite since day one anyway. Like a lot of these cats, they're capping. They really didn't like Polite because he was more successful than them. They didn't like Polite because he would troll them with his luxury items when he moved to Beverly Hills. Or they didn't like Polite because they were jealous of his women. Or they didn't like Polite because he ethered them in a debate. So now they're taking their victory laps talking all this shit, but they really don't be caring like they say they care. And I would say, for the most part, unfortunately, the whole conscious community or black community, FB, whatever you want to label it, you know what you're talking about. What I'm talking about. Those who are, we watch some of the same videos, we're studying some of the same things, we're pushing for some of the same empowerment, or at least claiming to. Speaking on black woke ideologies, just whatever. We don't really care like we're acting like we care. Because if we did, look, there's plenty. There has been situations in the past that we already knew there was some funny shit going on with these particular quote unquote cult leaders, and didn't do anything until years later they had to get caught red-handed. And we have people with red flags showing up right now. And if we ain't gonna be handling that shit, if we can't find creative ways to get these Negroes out the paint before they do something really detrimental, then we can't really say we about that life. So let's start off with some recap on some of the things that went down with this Brother Polite situation. Let's go ahead and go to O'Shea Duke Jackson's video, and we're gonna get into some more. You know, we're gonna get back to some of the things. Let me stop the music real quick. That went on with Polite, and we're going to use this as a learning lesson. I'm not necessarily here to either Polite. I don't fuck with Polite, never did fuck with Polite, other than some, you know, the fact that I did think that he was pretty dope at those debates. But this ain't no putting on a cape for Polite. He's trash. He's a piece of shit. But what we're going to do on this one is we're going to learn from Polite. Then we're gonna look at some other situations that we let get away from us that we should have addressed, but we didn't. Maybe because these particular people that I'm going to show you later on, which I showed you yesterday, maybe because they didn't have a bunch of internet beefs, there wasn't enough people that was hating them enough to push the issue on allegations that have been made about these cats. See, Polite's more polarizing. People didn't like Polite because he was a troll. People didn't like Polite because they actually seen him go from the gutter to glory, monetarily speaking. They seen him up there on the, you know, breakfast clubs, Vlad TVs, getting exposure, boosting his brand, driving expensive ass cars, chilling with models, all of his beautiful wives. They seen those kind of things, so they were kind of envious of that. Plus he had, you know, he would debate with cats and he would eat through them. He'd make them feel some kind of way. So there was a lot of resentment built up in the community towards Polite. So of course now that Polite goes down, it's a huge deal. But what I'm saying is, if people would have put this effort into some of these cats who we seen the red flags, because in Polite's case, we can't even say that we seen the red flags. There was no allegations prior to this particular case. But we're going to learn from this Polite situation in a few different ways. We're going to learn like the mentality and the characteristics of these SOs, of these chimos, of these weirdos. We're going to learn the behaviors, characteristics, and mentality of these cats. So we can just kind of see the different ways they deny or pretend they're innocent when they're not, or the different kind of resources that they utilize in order to hide their dirt. Let's start off with this though.
The mother and the daughter and the prosecution dropped every single sexual charge. I'm saying it again. The mother, the daughter, my accusers, in addition to the state, the prosecution, all agreed they need to drop all of the sexual charges.
Now, a couple things I want to note there. First of all, of course, we know that this is a damn lie. The reason why he feels he can get away with this lie is because he knows he has more influence and a bigger audience than the actual victims, who both wanted to remain anonymous and who haven't addressed social media at all. So it's really just his propaganda going out. So he could say those charges were dropped, but in essence, what really happened, as you're going to hear a little bit later, is he made a special plea in order to not have the SEX word associated with his crimes. And they do this a lot. A lot of these cats will do that. They'll take different charges, like they'll say abuse, or they'll use different terminology just to make the deal. Meaning like, okay, I'm going to take this deal, I'm going to go ahead and plead guilty, but you can't use this word. You can't register me on this registry. And a lot of times the victims, you know what I'm saying, like they don't want to go through trial. They're happy to get a conviction that he's going to jail. They're happy just to get him out the paint. And a lot of times these victims, they don't want to have to go to court and relive all this for several weeks or months. Especially if we're talking about children. So in essence, all he really did is he took a special deal. Like he still has to register, he still has to do probation as a mentally disturbed sexual offender, but he doesn't have to register on the sexual offense registry. We still know what he did to that child. But you know, he could take the child abuse and child endangerment rather than child momo. Instead of being a child mo, a chimo. So then he's going to get on Instagram acting like they dropped the charges, which we know isn't the case. And the reason I want to key in on these things is because there's other people in the community operating right now. Taharka Bey, who is on or was on the sexual offense registry at some point. Which means that he was already convicted of something from a sexual offense nature. Because you don't get on that register just because you're accused. You have to be convicted and or plead guilty. So he didn't make this particular deal that he's not going to be on the registry, because at one point he was on the registry. But same type of thing, and I'm going to show you the same type of cap coming from him. But first, let's continue with Brother Polite.
So yeah, it's a victory, but it's bittersweet. It's a victory because I was facing life. No parole, no probation. Now you may say, how could this be possible if a minor was so-called molested and it was DNA evidence? And people say DNA don't lie. And I always said, people do. Well, let's do this. The serologist, the expert that so-called found 6 semen stains amongst a headscarf and a t-shirt. Never mind the fact the whole kit said negative.
Yeah, that was Brother Polite last week, talking about how all of these charges were gonna be dropped. But then again, Brother Polite was back in court, and then we heard this verdict.
Then we will go into the details on the contract. Go ahead.
Your Honor, the plea agreement includes an adjudication, 7 years of state prison, followed by 10 years of reporting probation. As a condition of probation, the defendant will...
Would you say 10 years probation?
10 years reporting probation. Okay. The defendant will complete the MDSO program. The defendant will not...
The MDSO program is Mentally Disturbed Sexual Offender Program.
...be allowed to have unsupervised contact with children. The defendant will have specific terms regarding where he may work and the ability to wear a uniform. There are additional terms of restitution, of which...
Now, the ability to wear a uniform is, I don't know, I've never heard of that. I mean, where you could work and ability to wear a uniform, like that means you can't work for UPS or something like that. I don't know. Or does it mean that he was working with them folks? And I don't know. I don't know what it means. That's pure speculation. Just something interesting.
$5,000 has been agreed to be paid upfront within 24 hours, mailed to the to the victim, and additional restitution to be paid out on a monthly basis once he is out of custody. And that monthly amount is highlighted in the written terms of the plea agreement. Additionally, there will be a stay-away order from victim TS and her mother, which is also mentioned in the plea agreement.
What is the total amount of the restitution?
The total amount of restitution is $25,000.
Okay. All right.
Your Honor, is the defendant's counsel going to be providing probation as a proof of the $5,000 being paid?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Okay, so Mr. Nowak, the terms of the plea agreement are as what the prosecutor just stated, that you are going to be entering a plea of guilty to the 2 counts of aggravated child abuse and 1 count of contributing to the delinquency of a minor. You will be adjudicated guilty, which is a criminal conviction on your record. Do you also understand, sir, that by entering into this plea that it may subject you to involuntary civil commitment proceedings set forth in Florida statutes 394.910 through 394.931. Do you understand everything that I've said thus far?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I want to also advise you, sir, that you are going to be sentenced to 7 years in state prison to be followed by 10 years of reporting probation. In addition to any of these special conditions of probation, you will also participate in and successfully complete a mentally disordered sex offender treatment program. That you are also not eligible. Okay, you may, according to the state, you may be eligible for early termination if all of the conditions of your probation have been completed, that you have had no violations of your probation, and that you have not been arrested for any other criminal offense. Is that correct, State?
And to clarify, the terms stated in 5 is there is no prohibition on early termination. However, there is a requirement that any modification to this agreement be agreed by the state and the court.
Okay. All right, sir. Now, with respect to this plea agreement, I have on each page next to defendant's initials MN. Did you in fact affix those initials to each page?
I did.
And have you reviewed each and every component of this plea agreement going through page 1 and through page 4?
I have.
Now it says on page 4, having read the above mentioned terms of this plea agreement and having been advised by my counsel, David Terrace, I, Michael Noak, freely and voluntarily enter into this plea agreement and agree to abide by all terms and conditions of this plea agreement, and agree that failure to comply with any terms or conditions within this agreement constitutes a violation of probation and subjects me to be sentenced to the statutory maximum penalties provided by law for the crimes for which I am now pleading guilty. And then it has a signature over the name Michael Noak. Is that in fact your signature, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right. And I am now going to place my signature on this plea agreement, in that I am now going to be ratifying this plea agreement as negotiated between the state of Florida and your attorney.
Mr. Michael Nowak will be getting booty clapping sounds.
Okay. So I just want you guys to notice how cleverly he was able to avoid certain stigmas in what he pled guilty to and even the aftermath. So 7 years, 10 years probation, have to do the MDSO treatment program, but he doesn't have to register, and he doesn't even have to take anything sexual on his actual record. So that's going to give him the ability to continue to possibly grift from prison for those who will still support him, because, you know, they don't have to deal with the fact that they don't have to deal with the stigma of him being convicted for the Chimo stuff. Just, you know, child abuse, I guess. Interesting enough, also, Taharka Bey has a lot of child abuse on his record, and he also is or was a registered sex offender. But, you know, this is going to allow him to, in the future, because, you know, if he's doing 7 years, I don't know what Florida law is. Some laws are 50%. You have to do at least half the time. Some you have to do 60%. Sometimes you have to do 85%. But so we'll just say he'll be in prison likely for 3 to 5 years if he makes it out. See, but that's also going to protect him in the pen. He'll probably be, he'll definitely be PC'd up if he's smart. But it's going to still protect him, because when people ask for his paperwork, it's not going to say, you know, violation of children. It's going to say abuse, but it's not going to use the R word or the M word. So his thought process is probably, okay, I'll be out 3 to 5 years. When I get out, that's not a stigma I have to deal with. I can get back to popping peas for profits and selling grifts and pseudo information. So he basically did that to protect his future. Meanwhile, all the propaganda that's coming out from him is all these charges were dropped and this didn't happen and no, it wasn't this and that, because he knew that the victims aren't going to be speaking out. That's the kind of games they play. So like I said, a lot of the people that's now going, you know what I'm saying, Rambo on Polite, well, how sincere are they really? Is it just because they're mad at them for other reasons? Do they really care about these kind of things? Because we have people like, we're going to get to some other people, but we have people like this, Taharka Bey, who now is making video after video. Matter of fact, I'll just show you some of his tweets. He's making video after video now, condemning and attacking Polite and Sadnetta, and using people like babyface Imam Bashir, who got smoked by Polite in a debate. So he's been salty ever since because he got smoked, and jealous because he's, you know. So you got all these different people, you know what I'm saying? You got this cat particularly now going hard in the paint against Polite. But back in the day was all on Polite's dick. And let's not forget the fact that he actually raised money. Let's get back to some of this music real quick. Let's not forget the fact that he actually raised money to cover Brother Polite's case. He raised money for a van. He reportedly raised like $6,000, bought a van that he was going to use to go down to Florida to cover the case, even though the case was actually on Zoom. So you didn't really have to, you didn't have to go to Florida to cover the case. That shit was on Zoom. And then after he raised that money, he didn't say shit about Polite after that. The whole last couple of years, he didn't say nothing about Polite. He actually had the Jive Turkey Awards. I know because he used some of my image and attacked me on that particular show. But when the subject of Polite came up, he didn't say shit. when the subject of Nature Boy came up, he didn't say shit. Let's get into Nature Boy real quick. Seems like it might be a little loud. Let's go ahead and turn this down a little bit. Let's get into Nature Boy for a minute, just because I want to show you guys the, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you're gonna pretend that this is disturbing and we don't want this kind of stuff in the community, then we're gonna have to explain why we let this cat go on for so long.
Y'all see for yourselves this particular video.
My son started being ashamed of his body, and that's a world where he knew he was naked. I wanted my son to be so pure that he never knew he was naked. I take baths with my kids. I'm naked with my kids. I have sex in front of my kids.
So this is what I was telling you yesterday. I didn't show you this video, but this is what he was saying. That he has sex in front of his kids. Now, when it comes to people's kids and how they raise them and the degree to openness sexually that people are, you know, saying, express around their children, some of it's up to discretion, right? But some of it is, let's just be honest. Like, we know right from wrong. We know if we want to introduce children to sexual lewd acts. We know if that's some weird shit. And it's not no coincidence that this was years ago he said this, and now he's in jail for the very same thing of exploitation and acts sexually in regards to children.
I'll never be ashamed of sex. My son be breastfeeding, I'll be making love to his mom. That's me, bro.
Listen, man, because let's be honest. Most men are not going to even be able to be sexually aroused with a child in the bed with them. That's just a fact. I know plenty of brothers like myself have been in situations where, you know, you're getting busy. Kids busting the door on some mama or daddy shit, and it's like, oh shit, no, cover up. You know, it ruins the mood. But this dude is sitting there showing you how he's just stroking the baby right there. But it gets worse. It gets worse. And the point is, the reason why I'm showing you this is because let's just really be serious about this for a minute. If we're so upset with Polite, which we should be, then why haven't we been more vigilant when it comes to preventing these kind of things when we've seen or heard red flags coming from documentation or out the mouth of people? Why do we stop it in its tracks?
That's how I get down around kids. I try to keep.
He said, that's how I get down around kids. This is his get down.
That's me, bro. That's how I get down around kids. I try to keep their purity. I don't want to take their purity away by covering myself up. They're going to be ashamed to cover themselves up. And I'm pure at heart. So you can think in your mind, if I let another take their purity, I don't want to take their naked with my kids. I have sex in front of my kids. I'll never be ashamed of sex. My son be breastfeeding, I'll be making love to his mom. That's me, bro.
That's him.
How I get down.
That's how he gets down. Listen, that's how he gets down. He's saying this like he's like, listen, man. The confidence that he says this with is disturbing. He said it like this is the right thing to do. That's how he gets down.
I'll never be ashamed of sex. My son be breastfeeding, I'll be making love to his mom. That's me, bro. That's how I get down around kids. I try to keep their purity. I don't want to take their purity away by covering myself up.
That's how he keeps their purity, by introducing them to sex. as young as breastfeeding age. He claims that's how he keeps their purity. This is the pseudo nonsense that niggas be falling for. Just any kind of pseudo babble, no matter how fucking disturbing it is, if it's said with confidence and over, there's gonna be people that's gonna fuck with it. That's the shame. And then it leads to some Dr. York situation, some King Noble situation. And here's the cold part, my last channel. A lot of people know my last channel got shut down. And a lot of times I give the credit for it being shut down to YouTube and, you know, the system, because of the kind of stuff that was on there. And I know a lot of it has to do with that, because they flagged plenty of videos for plenty of different things when I'm speaking about the small hats, or what I call the 2939, or when I was speaking about the rainbow agenda and certain things. A lot of videos would get taken down. My channel would get struck for 30 days at a time and stuff like that. But that wasn't the only reason why my channel got took down. My channel also got took down because a lot of people... What the fuck? Oh, that's my phone, my bad. Because a lot of people were flagging my channel because I would get in beefs with certain people. I had about 10,000 or so subscribers. And sometimes, you know, and this was like when the Black Guy Stand Radio was peaking, and I would say my social influence was probably at the highest it's ever been. And sometimes I get battles with cats. I would call certain cats out. King Nobles. If you don't know who King Noble is, good for you. Forget I even said the name. But if you know who King Noble is, then you know who I'm talking about. Little dirty agent pedo that got chased out of Chicago and had to go down to Atlanta. He made videos saying things like raping black women is the most revolutionary act you could ever perform. He said things like we should legalize pedophilia. That's what he said. He said all kinds of disturbing, weirdo shit. So when I would get into some of these debates and going back and forth and exposing some of this shit, his people would start flagging the channel. First he popped up, hey, we should link. And I ignored him. You know what I'm saying? So people like that, young Pharaoh, who tried to get on my broadcast a couple times. This different people who I was exposing way back then. Way back in 2015 to 2018-ish. That had a lot to do why my channel got taken down. And I was privy to some of the information most people weren't, because, you know, I was networked in with a lot of these cats that we listen to today. Because a lot of them came through my broadcast. They came through some of my affiliates. I've interviewed a lot of these cats, chopped it up with a lot of these cats. I know some of the ins and outs of some of these cats. In fact, I spoke to one of the chicks that was in this Nature Boy cult. Was actually from Tacoma, and I got a contact with her, and she said basically she was ashamed for even falling for the shit. She ended up getting out the situation, but she was ashamed, and she was saying, dude, it's hella weird, fruity even, but all these red flags were already in place. And the thing is, when I started exposing some of these characters who had influence and who was on weird pseudo shit but had a following, people would attack me for that. It was hard for me to even sometimes, like, people who I knew, particularly women, who if I said something about these certain cats or tried to pull their coat to these cats, they would actually get upset at me. To where I had to back down because, you know, they're thinking I'm just hating, but in reality, I'm trying to let you know, like, hey, it's pseudo. It's first of all, the information is pseudo. Number one. Number two, these are weirdos. To where I actually got attacked by people who I really knew from the streets over some of these cats, some of these online characters. We're good now because, you know, what happened is everything fell in place, and then it became like, oh shit, you were right type of situation. But that's how gullible some of our people can be for some of these weirdos.
be ashamed to cover themselves up. And I'm pure at heart. So you can think in your mind, if I let another kid here, I'm going to have to change the way I am so that your kid can be comfortable around me. No.
He's saying he's not even going to change it. He's saying that he won't even tone it down if you don't get down like that and your kids are around him. He's still not going to cover himself. He's still just going to be naked as can be and expecting your child to be naked. He's not going to conform to society norms. Now, I know back in the day we could say, oh, well, back in the days we used to run around, we were all naked, but it's not like that now. Now that's weird. Now only a certain segment of society is really getting down like that, and they all happen to be those who would violate. These days, that's just not popping. For whatever reason. We can get into all that, oh, Adam and Eve and all that bullshit. It doesn't matter. The fact is, if you let your children spend the night over your neighbor's house who had kids that they played together, and you went to go pick them up, and your adult neighbors were walking around naked, butt naked with your kids, butt naked in front of your children, you would probably have a problem with that, rightfully. That would be weird.
I'm gonna be naked as fuck in front of your kids. My son comes up and grabs my penis. I let him grab my penis. I had sex with his mom. I'm making love to his mother. I let him grab my penis. I let him grab my penis. I had sex. My son comes up and grabs my penis. My son comes up and grabs my penis. I let him grab my penis. I had sex with his mom. I'm making love to his mother. After I'm done, I'm laying there chilling. He grabbed my penis. He's playing with my penis.
Oh my God.
Laying there chilling. He grabbed my penis. He's playing with my penis.
Oh my God.
I let him. He grabbed my penis. He's playing with my penis.
Oh my God.
I let that happen. He's playing with my penis. After I'm done, I'm laying there chilling. He grabbed my penis. He's playing with my penis. I'm making love to his mother. After I'm done, I'm laying there chilling. He grabbed my penis. He's playing with my penis.
Oh my God.
I let that happen. After I'm done, I'm laying there chilling. He grabbed my penis. My son comes up and grabs my penis. My son comes up and grabs my penis. Fuck in front of your kids. My son comes up and grabs my penis. Around me? No, I'm gonna be naked as fuck in front of your kids. My son comes up and grabs my penis. I let him grab my penis. I had around me? No, I'm gonna be naked as fuck in front of your kids. My son comes up and grabs my penis. I let him grab my penis. I had sex with his mom. I'm making love to his mother. After I'm done, I'm laying there chilling. He grabbed my penis. He's playing with my penis.
Oh my God.
I let that happen.
Listen to that, man. This shit was said years before he got convicted of sexually abusing children. This dude, after saying that, had a several-year run of moving all around the country, building up his little cult. Got cats advocating for his release right now. People calling him God. And within this cult of this weird old dude who said that he lets his son play with his penis, there's women up in there. Nobody checking this shit. Nobody externally checking this shit, and obviously nobody internally within that group checking this shit. But then we're going to act like we're so heated and take victory laps when Polite gets convicted. No, that's selective outrage. Most of the niggas mad at Polite, they're not mad for the right reasons. They're only mad because they were mad at him because, you know, they were jealous of him. They wanted what he had. They wanted the money and the attention and the big platforms that he's been on. Or he burned them in some debate, some back and forth that he got the best of them. And he was able to efficiently troll him troll them. It ain't really about, oh, they're really worried about what he actually did. Because if so, then why the hell did people like this get to rock for so damn long until the state had to take care of him? We should have made it to where he couldn't be comfortable in our community. We should have made sure that we handled that situation. Let's keep it a buck. Some of these same cats like Taharka Bey. Let's get to it. Let me see what's up. What we got right here. This is the cat who's acting like he's so upset and hates Polite, and he's gonna expose him, but he never really did throughout that whole thing. He never did anything he said he's gonna do, but now that he's locked away, now he's back to attacking Polite. But this used to be this dude. And the reason I'm showing you this, because you have to just think, like, if this dude was so wrong, this dude is known for exposing everybody. He just knows this skinny on everybody, but everybody who he exposes, most of them, he was chummy with. So you're saying that his discernment is so terrible that he looked up to all these guys for that many years, protected them. Now all of a sudden, it takes a conviction for them to realize this dude ain't shit? Or is it because he had the same type of case on his jacket, so he didn't really want to go all in at the time because he didn't want Polite to be able to go back at him with the information that was put out about his own sex offense registry paperwork?
And y'all see that Brother Polite is the real deal. It's not what he's made out to be. And y'all see that Brother Polite is the real deal. It's not what he's made out to be. And y'all see that Brother Polite is the real deal. It's not what he's made out to be. The monster. They try to make the brother a monster. The monster. They try to make the brother a monster. They try to make the brother a monster. They try to make the brother a monster. Dr. York, and I say again, I have it in one of my...
See? The nigga even went so far to lick Polite nuts. He know Polite is a follower of Dr. York. He said, yo, I even wrote a rhyme about Dr. York. He want to please Polite so bad. Polite, please accept me, nigga. I wrote a rhyme about your teacher. What? Did he do that? Talking.
And understand, a lot of the people that Taharka Bey attacks, they're people who decline coming on his show. But even if you come on the show, he's going to attack you the next day anyway. This dude, like I said, this dude is an agent. He's more than just a registered sex offender in 2016. He's an agent. He's a hater. He's a coon. He's every despicable word you could think of. A liar, a stealer, a chameleon, shapeshifter, transformer. He's all that. See, now he's attacking. Now he's making these videos, Polite's this and that, evil monster, this and that. But this was his energy when he was actually in front of Polite. See, you can't respect a man who will attack you behind your back but will be chummy in front of your face. We call them bitch ass niggas. That's why he got slapped like a bitch ass nigga. And speaking of the slap, this dude never showed that cam. What did he have? He had a body cam. Like, that's not suspicious in itself, but he never showed that body cam footage, did he? He said he was going to prove he didn't get slapped because he denied that he got slapped. And that right there should be the litmus test. If you're running around believing that what you seen with your own eyes of Taharka Bey getting slapped didn't really happen, if you're willing to believe that and you've seen it with your own eyes, then of course you're going to believe anything he says. Of course you're going to dismiss Shit like this. Of course you're going to dismiss this and believe anything he says if you believe that what you've seen with your own eyes isn't correct. Then you're gonna let him talk you out of what this means. And let's just be clear. Once again, you don't get on the registry unless you're convicted or plead guilty to a sex crime. Period. You don't just get there for being accused. It's not allegedly. If you're on that list at any time, and then there's ways to get off the list. There's reasons why he's not on the list right now. And since he knows that, and since we just seen what Polite was able to finagle, so there's ways to finagle some of these things. So it doesn't really just show up on the record unless you know the intimate details of that case. There's ways that people wiggle out of that shit, as Polite just showed you yesterday. Let me see something. It's cap. That's what I'm saying. And I'm saying, unfortunately, a lot of people are capping. Selective outrage.
About molestation when Polite ain't around, but when he face to face with Polite, the niggas telling Polite, yo, hey, I even wrote a rhyme. I even wrote a rhyme about you, your teacher, brother. Look, Polite. Will you let me lick your nuts, nigga? Check it out. Here you go.
A monster. They try to make the brother a monster. Dr. York, and I say again, I have it in one of my rhymes. One of my songs in Peace and Love. I said, you can say what you want about Dr. York, but he gave us different variation of the same thought. You won't appreciate that. You won't appreciate me. Polite gonna go Hollywood.
So he just said, if you don't appreciate Dr. York, you can't appreciate him. Now, besides pseudo teaching, Dr. York is best known for the fact that he got his compound raided, and he is doing time right now on crimes of a sexual nature, some of them against children. And what you just heard Taharka Bey say is, if you don't appreciate him, you can't appreciate him. You got to take them both, is what he's saying. Which makes sense because he actually did a show called The Fight to Free Dr. Malachi York. He actually did a program for 3 hours and 44 minutes called The Fight to Free Dr. Malachi York. This was 7 months ago. So this was right in the height of all the Polite thing going on. He's trying to free Polite's teacher. He's bringing on Yorkians, Nubians, for almost 4 hours. Trying to free Dr. Malachi York. So are all these things coincidences? I say, hell no, those ain't coincidences. Is it a coincidence? Look at that video that I did a few weeks ago. It's called Taharka Bey's Grape Community or Grape Associates or something like that. And I showed you that some of his biggest supporters and some of the people who he supports, including his day one from Annapolis, all are convicted R words. All of them. I showed you the receipts. Hell, one of them was convicted of gang R-ing a 14-year-old. That's his best homie, his best friend, who he's mentioned before on the program. You got to check it out for yourself. Check out the video for yourself. It's not a coincidence that his affiliates are Grape Apes. He has it on his record. He's fighting to get Dr. Malachi York freed. He was chumming all up on Brother Polite. When asked about Nature Boy, he had nothing to say. He said something like, "Oh, well, I have nothing against Nature Boy. He's never said anything to me." So like I said, okay, so it's okay as long as the people aren't attacking you, then it's okay if they're doing all this bullshit in the community, being detriments to children and women. It's okay because he didn't attack them. That's not weird to you? The same person who's been trolling Tariq for the past year about a museum that nobody else is unhappy about except for him, gave Nature Boy a pass, gave Brother Polite a pass. Malachi Z. York, we need to go ahead and free him. Some of the people who he's brought on to his program and that support him and are his moderators are convicted grapists. His day one from his hometown, convicted of gang violating a 14-year-old. All these are just coincidences. And then as we seen how they like to cap, right? That's why I showed you that Brother Polite. When he was going out his way to cap about, oh no, they're all been dropped and I'm innocent. No, with his little smile and smirk as he's saying it. Well, check this out. This is a video I did about a year and a half ago called Taharka the Tree Jumper. Tree jumper is a slang word for, well, you can see right there. So check this out.
Y'all realize all that I do for you and that what I gotta go through. Let me ask you a question. Do y'all realize all that I do for you and all the things that I go through? Listen, we got people out here that is super obsessive and crazy.
So he's referring to me, DSP, and the Research Ninja, because we're the first ones that brought up that paperwork.
I want y'all walk with me for a second. This is not about the show, but somebody sent me a screenshot where somebody is online saying that I'm a sex offender. Moi? I'm a sex offender. Somebody's online saying that Taharka Bey is a sex offender. Moi?
You notice the same kind of jovial way of addressing it? Smirky. Kind of like you seen Brother Polite when he was cracking that smile as he was sitting there lying to everybody, saying that all these charges were dropped when that's not the case. He just took a deal that he didn't have to mention those particular words. The same way he's addressing this. Moi? See, when we brought this out, we didn't have enough of an audience for him to really feel threatened or intimidated. So he was able to handle it a little bit different. Then Sonetta dropped the shit. Then he started getting amped up. Then he scared Sonetta into taking down the video because he started threatening him with the suit and all that shit. Then Tariq Nasheed dropped it. And that's when he went parabolic on Tariq Nasheed, obsessively making video after video after video about him. See, at first he was just trying to troll FBA, get some new followers, and attack the new black media. That was really his mission. And that's still what he's doing. Attacking the new black media and all of our master teachers, he's attacking them. But he had to really amp up the set once that sex offense registry paperwork got put out there to a larger audience. But this is what he was saying at first.
Either whoever is saying that has the dumbest audience on the planet Earth, or they believe that their audience is the dumbest audience on the planet Earth. Do you know that in any state you can pull up the sexual offender registry? Do anybody know that? Press 7 if you know that.
So, like I said before, the reason why he's saying this is because he knows at this time, see, the paperwork that we brought out was from 2016. That's what, 7 years ago? Maybe 8 now. So he was on the registry in 2016. Doesn't mean that he's on it now, and he knows that. That's why he was able to make that claim. In the same way, Brother Polite was able to use semantics to imply that he was 100% innocent and charges were dropped. But he knows he wouldn't be on that registry right now because and there's several ways to get off the registry. You can get off the registry because the time elapsed that you had to be on the registry, or if you don't register, because it's not just like you get put on the list and it's there forever, or it's there for 10 years, 15 years, depending on the crime. No, you have to actually actively register. You have to actively like sign in, like on a monthly basis or something like that. And if you stop registering, it's only a misdemeanor. So if you really don't want that stigma and you're willing to deal with maybe having to pay some fines or maybe doing a weekend in jail here and there, you just stop registering. There's ways to skirt around the sex offense registry. And we've showed this before, me and the Research Ninja on her channel and I think on this channel, where we showed you like, yeah, here's the stipulations, here's how long you have to be for different tiers, here's how you can get off according to different lawyers, whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop. So he was able to say that to put confidence in his audience because he knew that his audience weren't really going to do the research to understand why he wasn't on the registry at the time.
Do anybody know that? Do anybody know that any document that anybody has, anybody can pull it up to see if it was doctored or off?
See, now this is also a very interesting thing that he said. Now remember, this is before Tariq Nasheed exposed him. So what he was saying, because what he was really said the first time he even addressed this was that we doctored the paperwork. In other words, we fabricated or created or added to the paperwork, doctored it up. This is what he was saying at first. And, you know, he said anybody could pull it up and see if it was doctored. But guess what? People did pull it up. They pulled it up on their own. It's straight from the courts. It's the same paperwork. In fact, what I'm going to show you in a minute is that he pulled it up himself. Now, he said he was going to show everybody and explain what it meant and why it's whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop. He never did that. He decided to change his mind. He even stated, I changed my mind. Because Dr. Noble Drew Ali said, you should change your mind a lot or some bullshit.
Altered? Press 7. Do anybody know these things? In fact, pun intended, moi, sex offender?
Yeah, you see the same characteristic, the same energy, the same tactics. We just seen it with Polite, right? Smiling and beguiling and you know, smirking as he's sitting there lying to his audience, almost like he just has to smile. You know, it's like a reaction that you can't just sit there knowingly that you're lying to people who you know is going to believe without cracking a smirk, because you're really just saying that I can't believe my audience is going to be so stupid to believe this, and I'm going to try to laugh it off type of shit. But so he said it was doctored. You could check the registry because he knows he's not on the registry now. He said it was doctored. But he ain't saying it's doctored now. Now what he's saying is we just don't understand what it really means to have that Y there. And like I said before, oh, okay, hold up. That's him on a screenshot for a post that he made himself, posing. He's at the district court right now during this picture, to give you some context. And he pulled up the same document. What he wanted to do was pull it up to try to act like it wasn't there, even though he knew it was there. But he pulled it up himself like an idiot. And then he tried to cover it up with the words so you couldn't see that it's the same paperwork and it has the Y. So then he changed from it was doctored to we just don't know what that Y means. Now let me explain something for some of y'all who don't know me. For those who do know me, knows that I used to be a drug and alcohol counselor and also a child youth advocate in the court system, meaning that I would take juveniles out of juvenile and put them in different programs. So I'd have to go advocate and speak on their behalf to the judge and tell him, hey, if you let him out, I'll put him in this program. He'll be good. He'll stay out of trouble. He don't have to be in jail. It's not that serious, blah, blah, blah. I do that. I did all kind of mentoring. I did this for like 6-7 years altogether. Every year I had to get checked, criminal background, including the sex offense registry. And every year when I got that paperwork back, it had an N, as in no, by the registered sex offender portion. This portion right here. Just so we're clear. So every year, it was something like that, except for it wasn't for Maryland, it was for the state I was in. And it would say the same thing, registered lifetime sex offender, but it would have an N. In fact, when I moved into the gated community in Houston, Texas last year, I had to get checked for background. They don't let anybody in that neighborhood. And part of the background check was the sex offense registry. Once again, and for one of my last jobs that I had to get checked. Same thing. And so he went from his doctored to we just don't know what that Y really means. It doesn't really mean yes, as in he's registered or was registered. It means something. It just means that they checked it, is what he's trying to say. That is 100% bullshit. It should go against your common sense to even think that that's what it means. Anyway, let's continue. Yeah. Yes, you. Yes, you. I mean, I always thought it was kind of funny how he just kind of laughed that off and he just made it like it was a joke. Anyway, you could watch that video yourself, but I just want to show you that. And actually, you can look at his own post on his own channel, and you'll see him posing in front of the same document that he was saying we doctored up. He went from we doctored it up. He was able to get away with that because we didn't really have the audience. But the good thing about those who did peep our shit is that they actually went to his channel and gave him so much smoke that he had to end up addressing it. So this is the same dude now who's going in on Brother Polite. And I could show you some other stuff about this cornball right here who claims every NBA player is a synthetic robot and Mexicans are from a different planet and all these other crazy pseudo shit he said. But guess what? He's also doing time. What is he doing time for? Let me see. He was found guilty of the offenses for which he was sentenced 18 years in prison, which is documented in court records. He was found guilty of first-degree child abuse and cruelty to minors. And this is actually from, okay, this is more recent, but this one is from like a year and a half ago or something like that. So the point is there was red flags. That's the point. Because with a lot of these cats, there are red flags. Didn't just come out of nowhere that these cats were on that bullshit. No, there was already red flags. Polite might have caught us off guard a little bit, but we knew that he was pseudo in some of his information, especially, we knew that he was scamming. We knew that he was a Dr. York disciple, which should have been enough of a red flag right there. We keep letting these weirdos in the community and not checking them. We'll check people when we're mad about them because they're getting money, but we don't check them when there's red flags. We didn't check Nature Boy when he was saying that he plays with and lets his son plays with his penis. Years ago. At least King Noble got ran out of his city. He had to relocate. And then he just laid low. We ain't really heard from this cat since. But even the Rashad Jamal dude, there was allegations years ago about this cat. And with this particular dude, it's been known for a couple years now that Taharka Bey at one point in time was on the sex offense registry. I showed you the receipts. Make sure you check out that video, the receipts of his own closest homies and closest supporters and people who he's brought on his own program who admitted themselves that they had a soliciting to a minor charge. And dude never was like, hey, what do you mean soliciting to a minor? What does that mean? What's that about? Oh, but he also has the R. So he just hangs around a bunch of people who are violators of a sexual nature and has a Y right next to the registered and or lifetime sex offender portion of his court paper documents. But he still gets away with grifting money and pointing the finger at everybody else. That's what I'm saying. Now, you know what I'm saying? Like, he should have to always leave with bodyguards. He should have people pulling up. He should have, at least people should be pulling up, you know, to his social media, pulling up in his live streams. These cats can't continue to operate with immunity, and then we're gonna have selective outrage and pretend that we're really upset about shit that apparently we really don't give a damn about as much as we're trying to act like we do. Because we can actually start addressing these things before it gets to a point to what happened with Brother Polite and what he did to that child that he finally got convicted of yesterday. We should be throwing these dirt bags away long before it comes to that. Or we should be pushing to be the reason why these dirt bags get thrown away in the first place. B1 FBA, make sure you like, subscribe, comment, share this information. If you're a content creator, run with anything that I said. Run with